Let me just make sure I'm sharing my screen with audio. There we go. Okay, there we go. So now it should be sharing the right way, because we do have a little bit of audio that we're going to show later. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We are recording this meeting just so that you're aware. All right, and just to start, a few Microsoft Teams tips and just kind of general welcome in information. We are going to have about 45 minutes of content, and we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. If you have a question as we're going along, please either hold on to it at the end or put it in the chat. Anything that we do not get to, you are more than welcome to direct back to your local volunteer engagement rep, and they can help you with that. If you are having any problems with Microsoft Teams, the first thing we recommend is to leave the meeting and come back. It's shocking how much that simple thing can solve. And you may want to have volunteer connection open during the call. We are going to be talking about some things that you can access through volunteer connection, so you may want to use that for learning purposes. If you cannot log into Microsoft Teams, you can use the call line number that was included in the meeting invite. And as we said, please keep your microphones muted while we're going through the meeting, just to cut down on background noise until we get to the Q&A portion, and then you're more than welcome to unmute and ask any questions that you have. This just shows the basic functions of Microsoft Teams. Most important things are circled in red here. Up on the top left, you'll see the chat bubble you can use to open the chat. The raise hand function, when we get to the Q&A, please raise your hand if you have a question and we can go one by one. You can use the react button next to that. You can do things like a heart, a round of applause, a smile, anything like that, just to react to anything that we're talking about. And on the right side, you can mute your mic or turn off your camera. All right, so we are your BVWE team, your biomedical volunteer workforce engagement staff team. And Sylvia, unfortunately, cannot be with us today. She is out of the office today, but she covers Rochester, Casey in Albany. And if you guys want to, come on camera and wave, you can. Our leader, Ellen, is here as well. Erin takes care of Syracuse, and I cover Buffalo and Binghamton. This is the map of our territory, New York State and Pennsylvania, our one Pennsylvania county. Just as a reminder, you can volunteer in any county, even if you're normally, for example, one of Sylvia's volunteers, you can volunteer in my territory or in Erin's territory. That's completely fine. So feel free to think across country border or county borders, not country borders, across county borders, if that works for you when you're looking at volunteering opportunities. And we also wanted to share that our team is growing. So Ellen, do you mind sharing a little bit more about that?
Sure, I can do that. Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen. I'm the supervisor of the current New York Penn region. Starting after July 1st, we're going to be expanding our territory, taking over basically the state of Connecticut to bring on to our team. Really, not much will change from your perspective. You may have interaction with some new employee individuals. We have Sue Rogers will be coming over for part of the state, and I'll be hiring another new rep for another part of Connecticut. But there's really no change to your day-to-day communication. It's really just kind of growing the family, so to speak. So we look forward to that new territory coming up in July. So thanks.
Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, so your representative that you're working with already, that will not change. We'll just be adding some folks to our team. So there may be some new faces on our next team's call. And I'm going to pass it over to Erin for our icebreaker.
Hi, everyone. So we thought it would be fun to do a baby photo icebreaker. We have 4 photos. One of them is the baby photo of one of our staff members here, and the other 3 are fakes. So let's see how many of you can guess the right answer in the chat. We'll start with me. So you can see, yeah, in honor of Father's and Mother's Day recently. Absolutely. So you can see in the right-hand corner, that's a picture of me. Which baby photo do you think belongs to me? 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can put your answers in the chat. Mia says 1. See a lot of 1s, some 4s, a 2. Give it just a few more seconds. Make sure everyone has their answer locked in. The correct answer is 2. I am the little kid with big ears and bangs. We'll go to the next slide, please. So this is Casey. Casey is in the upper right-hand corner. Which baby photo do you think belongs to Casey? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Let's see the answers in the chat. Ooh, I'm seeing a variety of answers. Some solid 3s, some 1s. Give it just a few more seconds. Let everyone lock in their answer. 3, 2, 1. The correct answer is 4. Yeah, 4 is Casey. Next slide, please. All right, next up we have Sylvia. Sylvia is down in the middle and the bottom. Which baby photo belongs to Sylvia? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Oh, now the answers are flying in. Seeing a lot of 1s and 3s. Oh, a couple 2s. No 4s though. All right, give you a few more seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right, the correct answer was 2. Sylvia is the grumpy one. We thought that was really funny. We enjoyed seeing that. The next slide, please. All right, now we have Carrie. Carrie's in the lower left-hand corner. Which baby photo belongs to Carrie? 1, 2, 3, or 4? I'm seeing a great mix of answers. There's no unanimous decision here, Carrie. Give you a few more seconds. 3, 2, 1. And I believe the correct answer is 1, right, Carrie?
Yes, that's me, number 1.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I forgot. But yeah. Next slide, please. And now we have Ellen, our fearless leader. Which baby photo belongs to Ellen? Some 2s, some 1s. A lot of 2s. 2s are winning. Oh, now we have a couple 3s. All right, give me a few more seconds. 3, 2, 1. The correct answer is 3. Ellen is baby number 3. Thanks so much for participating. Did anyone, just for fun, did anybody get all of the answers correct? That would be really interesting to see if you guys were psychics. And none. Jennifer got none. Oh, Jen, I'm so sorry. Can we play another game? I love that. All right, thanks so much for playing with us. Next slide, please. All right, so we have a few upcoming events in Western New York that we're looking forward to attending, and we'd love to see you there. On Thursday, July 9th, from 5 to 7:30 in Hickory's Park in Owego, we have summer cookout. And then on Tuesday, July 14th, from 5 to 7:30 at the West Henrietta office. And then Thursday, 7/23, from 5 to 7:30 at the Buffalo office. We'd love to see you there. Join us for food and fun. at our summer picnics and awards presentations, and we would love to see you. Next slide, please. So school's out for summer. What do we do? If we have some college students or some high school students on the call, this is geared at you. Next slide, please. So if you're staying in town for the summer, make sure you let your rep know. You can sign up for additional shifts. It looks great on your resume to get some shifts in for college or future plans. Even consider setting up a weekly volunteer schedule. Talk to your local rep about this. If you're going back home or out of state, notify your current rep that you won't be able to volunteer locally during school break. But that doesn't mean you can't volunteer where you're headed. We have blood drives in many states and many locations. So there may be the option for you to volunteer where you're headed. Let us know if you're coming back in the fall or if you're moving away for good. And don't forget, change your address and volunteer connection to match your most current address. That will let you see local blood drives in the blood drive tool. And notify your rep if you'd like to continue volunteering when you go back home. Like I said before, we can request a transfer and get you in touch with the volunteer rep in your hometown, and make sure you have access to the local blood drive schedule. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. I think I'm passing it over to Casey.
Thank you, Aaron. I'll pop on camera real quick just to say hello to everybody, and then I'm going to dive in here. So let's go to the next slide. So wanted to keep you updated on, oh, we have a hand. Phyllis, do you have a question?
No, I was trying to wave to you.
Oh, no worries. Nice to see you virtually. So we wanted to just keep you all apprised of our donor incentives that we have going on this summer. Summer is actually a challenging time to collect blood. They need more units at the hospitals. Just think about sort of all of the things that people do in the summer, right? They're out and about doing different activities, and that can unfortunately lead to more trauma and visits to the ER. So as an organization, we're pretty intentional about our incentives and trying to find, the right ways to recruit donors to our drives so that we're having successful drives and ultimately getting those units out to the patients in need. So through the next few days, we have the $15 e-gift card. And one thing to note with the e-gift cards is that those are digital. So if folks are asking you for a physical copy, it's not going to be a physical copy. It'll go to their email. So just ensure that folks are double checking that. I had somebody who donated recently ask about that, and I said, just look in your email, make sure it didn't go into a spam folder or anything like that. Let's go to the next slide. And right around the corner, starting Monday, I know a lot of people are excited about this one. We had a lot of success with the recent couple of years ago. We had a Looney Tunes T-shirt, and I think it was Snoopy, right? And it was really popular, brought a lot of people out. It got a lot of recognition and sort of publicity. They got quite a bit of media attention. So super excited to see this coming again. And that's going to hit our drives starting on Monday. So we find that those T-shirts are something that can really drive and pull donors into our blood drives. And this is also celebrating the 250th anniversary of the USA. Let's go to the next slide. And movie season is upon us. I know I want to get out and see Masters of the Universe. If you've seen it, give me a thumbs up or put that in the chat. I want to get out there. That's from my youth. So July 13th through the 31st, we have the Fandango movie tickets. And so those will be going out during that period of time. Super exciting. Hopefully that draws in people. And then let's go to the next one. right into August, we've got the $20 Amazon gift card. Again, this will be digital for donors. So you can kind of see what we've done is really stacked up, front loaded at the beginning of summer, those incentives. And we even have a team that kind of does data analytics and looks at what are the best things to do that really increase participation and get more donors out to the drives. Yeah, Disclosure Day. I'm curious about that one, Carrie. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on that. So let's go to the next slide. A few weeks ago, when we were thinking about planning this meeting, we kind of conceptualized, what if we asked you all what type of content you wanted to learn? So the substance of this meeting is really what we got from that survey. And if you didn't have a chance to do it, you can always relay your interest to us at any time. Reach out to your rep individually and let us know. So we kind of looked at the survey. We got pretty good participation. I think we got over 40 replies from you all. So thank you so much for doing that. And I would just double down on the fact that you are the ones that are doing the mission. We're background players. If this was a movie, we're the producers. We're just in the background, equipping and empowering you all to do the mission and to provide the best experience possible. So we kind of plucked out different ideas. If one of your specific questions doesn't get rolled into our slides here, just let us know. You can always reach out to us, but we'll go ahead and jump ahead and kind of dive into what we came up with. And we have a little bit of a video. Hopefully the audio works.
Yeah, so I think I'm sharing with audio. The first thing we wanted to share was this video about what happens to blood once it's donated. That was a common question that we got. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video here. It should be sharing with sound. If you don't hear sound or have any other issues, please let us know by putting that in the chat.
What happens to donated blood? When a person donates blood with the American Red Cross, it goes through a series of steps before it's ready to help patients in need. But what exactly does the blood journey look like? Let's watch. Step 1. The donation. First, when you arrive for your blood donation appointment, you will start with a questionnaire. Or, you may complete that in advance and arrive with your rapid pass. Then, Red Cross staff will conduct a mini physical, measuring your pulse, blood pressure, and hemoglobin level. If you are healthy and able to donate, we will collect about a pint of blood, plus a few test tubes for testing purposes. A whole blood donation takes about an hour from start to finish, but the actual drawing of blood takes only 8 to 10 minutes. After the donation, your blood will be placed on ice before traveling to a Red Cross processing center. Step 2. Processing. At our processing center, information about your donation will be scanned into a computer database. Most blood donations are spun in centrifuges to separate them into 3 transfusible components: red cells, platelets, and plasma. Step 3. Testing. Meanwhile, the test tubes with your blood samples will have arrived at a testing laboratory. Here, a dozen tests are performed to determine your blood type and check for infectious diseases. Within 24 hours, these results will be electronically transferred to the processing center. If a test result is positive, you will be notified and your donation will be discarded. Step 4. Storage. Once testing is complete and your donation is approved for use, it will be labeled and stored. Different components are stored in different ways and for different lengths of time. Red cells are stored in refrigerators for up to 42 days. Platelets are stored at room temperature for up to 5 days, while continuously agitated to prevent platelets from clumping together. Plasma is stored in freezers for as long as a year. Step 5. Distribution. Now that your donation is ready to be shipped, it can be sent at a moment's notice to hospitals at any time of day, any day of the week. Hospitals do keep some blood products on their shelves, but it needs to be constantly replenished as it is used. The Red Cross is on standby in case they need more or during large-scale emergencies. Step 6. Transfusion. Once at the hospital, how does your blood donation reach a patient in need? People need blood transfusions for a variety of reasons, from serious injuries to childbirth emergencies to cancer treatments. If a patient requires a blood transfusion, the doctor must first determine what type of transfusion. Patients suffering from anemia or blood loss may receive red blood cells to increase their hemoglobin and iron levels. Those unable to make enough platelets due to illness or chemotherapy may receive platelet transfusions. And patients with liver failure, severe infections, and serious burns may receive plasma transfusions as a part of their treatment. As you can see, a life-saving blood donation starts with a generous donor, travels through expert testing and processing, and is distributed through a dedicated team of professionals who provide it to a person in need. Start your own blood donation journey and help save a life by making an appointment today at redcrossblood.org.
All right. All
Yeah,
right, I'm
we
going to
saw.
throw it back to you, Casey, for these next few slides.
I appreciate it. We thought that was just an insightful little snapshot of the blood journey. That was one question that folks had in the survey, and just a little synopsis. And we'll talk a little bit more about where you can find more information and things of that nature. So one of the things that folks asked about was, are there any anticipated changes that'll be coming? And largely, it just has to do with summer, right? Kind of what Aaron talked about. One thing worth noting is that we lose our school accounts in the summer. So we have to make up for those products. And what we do in many areas is we will do more volume of drives at other locations because the need is always there for donations, and we lose those accounts. We have to make up for them. So you may see on the calendar, whether you're donating or volunteering, that there are more drives. Some of the drives might be a little bit lower goal. Maybe you're used to 20 or 30 donors. Some of them might be 12, 15, 18. It's really about just making up that gap. So it's also a great opportunity if you want to engage more, if you want to pick up a few more shifts and contribute more of your time and talent at the drives. So there is that piece. Another thing too with the seasonal change is certain areas have blood mobiles. We had them here for a while in Albany. We no longer have them, but I know Rochester is going to be getting some. And so what is a blood mobile, right? So it is, this image kind of captures a snapshot of what they look like. Some of them are a little smaller, self-contained units. But essentially what those are is we go out to a location that maybe doesn't have the square footage, the setup to where we can do an indoor drive. So we will often pull up to a location, maybe an office building or something of that nature. Typically what we'll do is it'll be set up a little bit different than our traditional blood drive inside of a facility. We'll typically put the volunteer and the registration inside a lobby, sometimes a cafeteria, a break room, or something of that nature, and you'll be communicating with the staff on the bus. Some folks will do that through their cell phone. Some folks will do it with walkie-talkie. So that's just something to kind of check with as you get to the facility. Another thing too is we want to make sure there's, especially in the summer, that we have an indoor space for you. I'm going to shut my window because someone's weed whacking right outside my window. Give me 2 seconds. You might not be able to hear it with noise suppression, but I can. All right, it's that time of year. So what your rep will do is they will often check in with you ahead of time when you sign up for one of those drives. And they'll give you kind of the layout and the setup. The last thing we would want to do is have you set up outside when it's hot out or something like that. We always want to make sure that the location is designed for good flow and a good volunteer experience as well. When you go into Volunteer Connection, if you self-register in Volunteer Connection, you will see, I believe it'll say bus. It'll be kind of annotated on the drive that it's a bus drive. So yep, that's something that's coming through the pipeline. Aaron already did a great job of explaining our student situation. I would just double down on the fact that if you are someone who goes to Hilton Head or goes to Cape Cod for the summer, let us know, update, same thing, update your profile under my profile, and there's a category where you can go in and update your address. Some areas, we cover 40% of the country's blood supply. So we don't have a footprint everywhere. In fact, somebody asked me, I think about Hilton Head in particular, and It looked like they didn't really have many opportunities down there. I was able to kind of do a little detective work. But you could also participate in another line of service. I've heard that from volunteers. In particular, someone said, yeah, I went to Florida. They don't do blood collections for various reasons, or we don't in that area, but I leaned in and I did some disaster volunteering. I did some dispatch calls. And I thought that was just awesome that that person was willing to try something, sample something different, kind of get a little bit of a different flavor of the Red Cross. And with summer upon us, it's hot, right? It gets hot. And we really just want to point out to, encourage donors to hydrate as much as possible. I would say anecdotally, if I were to guess, probably 80 to 90% of people are walking around dehydrated. I've always got a drink nearby and I still feel like I'm not getting enough fluids in. Feel free to have water at registration and encourage them to get that fluid into the body and encourage for folks to also take that pause after take that time to recover, refresh, rejuvenate before they go along with their day. One other thing that can come up too, and we just ask for your grace on this, is uh, we have to have air conditioning at facilities unless there's some other like magical way that they're doing their setup with the temperature. Sometimes what can happen, and this happened here locally, was volunteer went out to a drive, staff went out to the drive, set up, and unfortunately the AC just kicked the bucket. So what that meant was, upset donors showing up, and the volunteer, was rightfully a little miffed. I mean, I definitely understood where they were coming from, but just, if you can go with the flow, and I think it's all in the messaging too. So if you do get some upset donors coming in as, hey, there was nothing we could do about it. I'm so sorry that, you spent your time coming over here, but it literally, the machine just went down. The AC unit is down. There are some and luckily there were some nearby drives that were driving distance. So that's something too, where you can look up drives that are taking place nearby. This shouldn't happen too much, but I do think it's worth mentioning. Let's go to the next slide. Try to be a little more pithy now. One of the questions that folks had that we saw a through line, a trend on the survey was, what do we need to do as donor ambassadors to stay current, stay up on things to ensure that we are up to date on the best practices? And I thought that was a great question. And so we kind of took a step back, zoomed out, and just in volunteer connection alone under the My Groups category, under that header, there's two places where you can really explore a lot of different categories of learning and development. And I've highlighted them here, and we'll share these documents after, but they're OneSource and Edge. And these are things as employees. We all had to actually just complete some training by the end of June. So I just finished that module last week. So Ellen makes sure that we're staying up on things. What you can do in there is there's different categories. You can search by subject. So if you go into OneSource and you want to learn more about sickle cell, you can actually just search sickle cell and you'll see a whole bunch of things pop up as far as recorded meetings, modules, trainings. Let's say you want to learn more about our Latino engagement and what that's about and the scope of that initiative. You could search that in there as well. That's kind of the place where I go and I just have sort of a keyword in mind of something that I want to learn about. Power rep, things like that. Edge is also an area where you can go in and find different trainings. Again, there's different categories, subjects, and things of that nature. So I would just implore everyone, if you're savvy enough to use Volunteer Connection in that technical way, go in there and start exploring those areas, and you'd be surprised. Like anytime I usually get a technical question or like a medical kind of quasi-medical question, these are where I usually go to search those answers. So let's go to the next slide. We can. And then just also within Volunteer Connection is housed under My Shifts. There's lots of other opportunities. Here in Albany, we have the virtual front desk. So that's something where individuals can participate. Someone just asked me about that the other day. So if you explore under my shifts, whether you're Greater New York, Western New York, Eastern New York, Greater New York, I only left you out here because I couldn't get enough space on this slide. But there's regional events and training calendar. So right there, baked into the language is training. So that's different opportunities to learn. We have things like in certain areas, Volunteer Connection 101, like which is a basics on navigating and learning all of the different things that are within Volunteer Connection. Tabling. So what's tabling? That could be a health expo where we've been invited to have flyers, informational material. So it's very similar to the donor ambassador role, but it's just, being public facing. We usually just ask that you read up on some of the other departments ahead of time, so you have a little cursory knowledge if you get random questions about smoke alarms or things like that. So we've been finding that to be very fruitful and meaningful for a lot of volunteers going out to those events. So another opportunity, and those are sometimes a little more on the weekends. So if you're looking for weekend things, there's those. If you want to learn about service to the armed forces, if you want to learn about disaster cycle services, you could jump into one of their meetings here. So it's kind of small text here, but they're all categorized based on color as far as biomed is, I want to say biomed is red. My eyes are getting too old, but it'll tell you if you need pre-training or any pre-qualification to jump into one of these things. We had a wonderful volunteer appreciation event last Wednesday. I saw some of you who are on this call. So wonderful to see you in person at the events. So just keep sort of attuned to those regional event calendars for opportunities. Sometimes there might just be a one-off event, maybe for 4th of July, there's going to be a 1-day show up. We'll train you. We'll work 5 or 6 hours on a project, celebrating, the military or doing postcards or something like that for service members, things of that nature. Some of these are hybrid, some of them are in person. So yeah, just explore. And if you're not attuned to Volunteer Connection, if you're not in there, we can do our best to make sure that we're sharing invites, resources, and all that good stuff with you. So let's go to the next slide. I think I've got one more, if memory serves me. RedCrossBlood.org is a phenomenal website. I do want to differentiate. There is a redcross.org, which is kind of the umbrella website for Red Cross, but this is really specifically blood. And it's, again, one of those places it's a well that I always go to when I get a question. What are the acceptable forms of ID? Well, actually, the ID list is in there. How do I host a blood drive? Well, if you look here, there's a hosting the blood drive section, and you can actually apply to host a blood drive and see what parameters you need, facilities, space, and all that type of stuff. Looking for drives. Again, it's actually quite valuable to know where drives are occurring ahead of time. And they're not all going to be in the Volunteer Connection because we cover somewhere between 60 and 80% of the volunteer requests in the community. Some of them are, the locations have their own volunteers that they train and they just keep it in-house. So Volunteer Connection is a snapshot, but you could look in here and just have a sense of what are some drives that are going on today, tomorrow, in case someone is deferred or you're really backed up and you can't take walk-ins. Sometimes that can happen, unfortunately. You always want to have an idea where some drives are occurring. Sometimes there'll be a drive the same day that's within driving distance to where you are. The list of iron-rich foods, but this is a real go-to. This is kind of my cheat code between this and the one source. Those are my cheat codes, so to speak, when I have a question from the field from you all. And I usually start here, and then I kind of cast a wider net if I don't get the information or find what I'm looking for here. So yeah, I would bookmark that. I would bookmark Volunteer Connection, and I would bookmark redcrossblood.org, as far as resources. And I think that's all of mine. I could be wrong, but I think that's all my slides. And I'm going to pass the virtual mic back to Carrie.
Thanks so much, Casey. So we're going to continue with some questions and answers that came up during the survey that we sent out. One frequent question we got was sort of, am I doing everything that I should be doing at the blood drive? Are there extra tasks that I can be doing? So these are some things that we thought some folks might not realize are typically responsibilities of the blood donor ambassador at the blood drive. So first thing is that when you are making a name tag for donors, so with each donor when they come in, we do like to make them each a name tag. It helps the drive feel more personalized to them. Be sure to ask what name they would like on the name tag. Some folks have a nickname that they've gone by their whole lives, and maybe the name they were born with doesn't really feel like them, and they prefer to go by this nickname. So always ask what name they want on the name tag, and then we can write that name on their name tag, and that can help them feel more comfortable. You can also advise donors as they come in when they're registering in that initial steps. Let them know they may be asked to upgrade their donation for patient needs. And this is referring to our Power Red procedures, where we take twice the number of red blood cells from the donor. We don't want to promise anybody that they will definitely be able to do Power Red that day because it can change based on the machine availability. Sometimes we may be taking certain blood types for Power Red, sometimes we may not. It depends. It's all day-to-day based on the hospital needs. It's all calculated based on the hospital needs. So we just want to plant the seed with each donor as they come in, that might be an opportunity for them, and frame it as being for the needs of our patients. You may also call donors who missed their appointment. If you're not sure about this, if this is something that you should be doing, you can always double check with your rep. It can vary a little bit by area. But if you find that it's been 15, 20 minutes and somebody still hasn't come in for their appointment, feel free to give them a call. You can use your phone, and I believe it's *67 if you would prefer to keep your phone number anonymous. And you can call and just say, hey, I noticed you missed your appointment. Would you like to come in later today? Or find a better time for them to come in, or help them find another blood drive nearby. If we can capture them that same day at that same drive, that is ideal. Be sure you're also handing out giveaways and swag, like the t-shirts that we have coming up. So make sure everybody gets one of those. And also use the Book Now tablets to sign donors up for their future appointments. And we are going to talk more about the Book Now tablets and getting some feedback on that later. But it is the best thing to do. And a great way to frame that is to emphasize to the donors that we are helping the hospitals plan. Because if we can say we're expecting this many units at this blood drive, we know roughly how many units we can get to the hospital, and they can anticipate how many units they'll have. So the sooner in advance that people can sign up, the sooner in advance that we know that, the better that is for the patients.
Hey, Carrie,
Yes.
how do you feel about Robbie has her hand up?
Oh, yeah, Robbie,
Hold
what's
on.
your question? You're muted still, Robbie, by the way.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I check with the charge now because I kind of do what I call a soft introduction to the power donation. Introduce that they will be introduced to it.
Yeah.
And I did have one charge kind of snap at me that's not my job. And
Okay.
they would take care of that.
Let's talk more about that, Robbie, because we're being asked, right, to share this information with you all. So I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. So maybe we can talk more about that a different time, because that's, I want to make sure that we address that. Paul, did you have a question?
Yes, well, you're talking about the giveaways and everything. We do not receive them at any of my drives. I don't know if the people don't want to pick them up. I never have nothing to give away as a freebie. And that's just craziness.
Yeah. So the giveaways are usually allocated ahead of time for each drive. So they should be getting to you. So I'll check with the account manager in your area about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So talking about the current registration procedure here, I made this flow chart a while ago, and I thought I would just throw it in this because just getting back to the basics of the flow when folks come in. So when folks come into the drive, ask the donor as they come in if they have an appointment. If the answer is yes, the next question is if they've completed Rapid Pass. If they did complete Rapid Pass, they're all set. They just need to check in on the laptop and then they are ready for health history. If they did not complete Rapid Pass, just as a reminder, they have two options. They can either complete Rapid Pass before checking in, or they can just check in and wait for health history, and they'll essentially just do the Rapid Pass and health history. Which of these you choose is based on the donor, if the donor is willing or to complete Rapid Pass on their smartphone before they check in. And it's also based on how busy it is. If there's no wait and they're going to check in and just be called back immediately, my understanding is that generally it's not recommended to have them do the Rapid Pass. It would just add extra waiting time. So then they can check in, they can go straight back to health history. If they're going to be sitting waiting before they get called back to health history for a little while anyway, they might as well do the Rapid Pass first. And that way that step is already done. So that's a little bit of your judgment, and it also is based on what the donor is comfortable with. If the donor does not have an appointment when they come in, you'll need to ask the staff if they can take a walk-in. And then if the staff can take a walk-in, the donor will check in. They won't have had the opportunity to do the Rapid Pass ahead of time, so it'll be the same two options that I just went over. If the staff cannot take a walk-in, we'll help the donor find another appointment. And there was some information in the chat about that earlier. You can use redcrossblood.org, or you can use the blood donor app to look up blood drives nearby. Or you can check with the team lead, the collections team, and see if that donor could just come back later that day to the same drive. We had a lot of questions about
Hey,
types
Carrie?
of, yeah.
I think Mia has her hand up.
Yeah, Mia, what's your question?
No, well, it's more of a comment than a question. We've been telling our donors to do the Rapid Pass for so long, and we advise them that the Rapid Pass can take as much as 15 minutes out of their total donation time, because it really moves them through the whole process much quicker. And they actually instigated something new at the last drive that we had a couple of weeks ago. Each of the health stations had a big placard number. They were numbered 1, 2, 3. And I had asked the charge ahead of time, is it okay if we load the donors into the health history stations as they're ready to go if we're running on time? And she said, absolutely, yes, because that saves us a little bit of time. So I didn't even have to get up and walk them to the station. All I had to do was say, you can go sit at station number 1. You can go sit at station number 2. But the clients now, most of our clients, because we've been pushing the Rapid Pass, they come in, we look up and say, you've got your Rapid Pass done, right? Yep, here it is. So it really does work. I want to say, yeah, less than 15% of our people come in without their Rapid Pass done. And it does make it go a lot faster.
Yes, absolutely. It is definitely ideal for them to do it ahead of time. So if folks are donating for the first time, or if they're just not familiar with the Rapid Pass, I would highly recommend before they come in the next time that they get the Rapid Pass done ahead of time. All right, so this slide I wanted to talk about different types of blood donation. This was a common question that we got, and the video went into this a little bit as well. Whole blood is the most common kind, and most of the time, even when somebody donates whole blood, it's separated into the components once it gets to the processing center. So it's separated into red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. And sometimes it's transfused as whole blood, but it's often already separated into those components, which is why we're so much effort to collecting those components as well. The Power Red is a concentrated dose of red blood cells. We were just talking about this. Whole blood is taken out of one arm, run through a machine. The red blood cells are kept, and the other components are returned back into the other arm. And that allows us to collect twice the number of red blood cells. Platelets it's a similar process, except you get the red blood cells back and you get the plasma back, and we keep the platelets. I also have on these slides the ideal blood types. And you can always ask the charge as well for Power Red, like which donors to talk to about Power Red, or just kind of, like we said, make a general message to every donor. Platelets and plasma you'll only run into at the blood donation center, and those are normally donors who are already familiar with the process. And the last type is plasma, and that is the same thing. You get the plasma back, and platelets and plasma are a more frequent type of donation. All right, so one question that we got a lot was about high school blood drives. Are there extra responsibilities that you'll have at a high school blood drive? And the answer is usually yes. It depends. Sometimes they're student volunteers, often they're student volunteers. And that's a great opportunity to get young people interested in volunteering and to model for them good behavior as a volunteer and how exciting it is and how fun it is to be a volunteer. Because I know you're all here because you enjoy volunteering. So spreading that enthusiasm to young people is really important. So we really appreciate those of you who go to the high school drives and do that. So a couple things that you might need to do at a high school blood drive. One is confirm if the donors have parent or guardian permission. You can donate at 16 with parent or guardian permission, and you can donate at 17 and older without it. So you might need to check if the donor, if they're 16, if they have that permission slip already signed. They usually do. The schools are pretty good about getting that all arranged ahead of time. There's going to be a lot of first-time blood donors as well. Folks may be nervous. They might have a lot of questions. So that extra bit of empathy, that extra bit of support, answering those questions for them, that's all really important. As I said, there will be student volunteers most of the time. So kind of the role of the blood donor ambassador at those drives is really more supervising those student volunteers and making sure that they're carrying out all the tasks correctly. We recommend training those students on registration. One of them can write name tags, one of them can cross the name off the list or, answer questions, however they want to break it up. But we recommend training them on registration and then making sure that you're focused on the canteen. We will talk a little bit more about the canteen, but it's very, very important to have your eyes on the canteen, especially with a lot of first-time donors and a lot of young donors. They're more likely to start feeling unwell after they donate. So we really need adult attention there. So canteen responsibilities. We had a lot of comments in the survey that we sent out from experienced BDAs looking to spread the word that the canteen is really important. And if you're a newer BDA, you may not know exactly, right, how important it is. You kind of have to see a few times how things can go in the canteen before realizing how important it is. So we're trying to kind of spread the word ahead of time, get you prepared. That it's really important to keep an eye on donors as they're recovering from their donation, because they may be feeling fine when they get off the bed and when they sit down, and then suddenly they may start to feel unwell. So we are really looking for blood donor ambassadors to supervise donors in the canteen, really keep a close eye on them and alert staff immediately if somebody is unwell. Get their attention right away, however you can, so that they can come over and tend to the donor. We're not expecting you to do anything health, like medical wise, to tend to the donor, right? But it is your responsibility to keep an eye on them and to let the staff know if they need help. Part of this is also restocking the snacks, the juices, the water, keeping the canteen area clean and welcoming, making sure everything is easily accessible. And as we said, asking to book the next appointment for donors. We'd already talked about helping the hospitals prepare. My favorite is that less phone calls. A lot of people don't like how many times we call them. The best thing to do then is to make the appointment as soon in advance as they can. Even if they need to reschedule it, if they get something on the books, they're not going to get as many calls. So that's the best thing to do about that. And for those of you who are bakers, you can, of course, bring treats from home to share in the canteen, and those are always appreciated. So feel free to do that if that is up your alley. All right, so that is everything that we had from a survey. If we didn't get to your question, we are going to do a little Q&A here at the end. And like I said, also call your rep, email, text your rep, whatever is more comfortable for you. Feel free to reach out for us. We are always here for your questions. So we are going to be sending out a Book Now survey after this. we have a lot of feedback about the use of the Book Now tablets at our blood drives. So we wanted to give you all the opportunity to officially document your questions, your concerns, any feedback you have about the Book Now tablets. If you have great success with Book Now and you love using the tablets and you feel like you really get a lot of appointments booked, we want to hear that as well. So please, we will send out that survey. We're each going to send it out to our own territories, and then please respond once you get that from us. All right, so that was all the official information that we had. So we'll open the floor to Q&As now. Does anybody have any? I'm sure there's some questions. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, the one thing that I do a lot is I ask the folks that are coming in if they're newbies. What I do is if they're at the canteen and sitting and they're feeling oozy, I automatically go over there, stand behind them, let them know you're all right, I got you, you're safe, and I notify the staff about it and they come over. I don't want to leave the person that's dizzy alone. If you do, they can fall sideways out of the chair and get a head injury. So I stay with the person. I don't do nothing but advise the staff about it. And the other thing I do too is with the power red, if I get them coming in, I go back, let the staff know you have a power red that just came in. I let them know the person's name and they can look and try to get them through faster because we don't want to lose, especially the power red.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's amazing empathy to let people know you feel safe. I'm here. I would, if I was in that situation, I would definitely need to hear that. So I really appreciate that you bring that energy to the donors. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Maybe we were just that thorough, and
I
we,
was going to
you know,
say,
be,
who
because
are
of the
you all?
nature of the. Oh, we got Marion. Marion
I
always
was
has a
going to
good
say,
one.
what have you done with our volunteers that always have a lot of questions?
That's right. You were so clear that we have nothing to add to this great training session. Well, okay, but this is a comment for if you have someone that came in and something happened, say the AC went out and you had to send them someplace else, or if they were booked for, or you booked them for another appointment, please remind them that if they completed their rapid pass and it's on a different day, they're gonna have to do that rapid pass again. Because people tend to not realize that they say, oh, I just did it yesterday, but you have to do that every day. So the day of, rather, I'm sorry, the day of. And I always say, well, you should have received, meaning you didn't check. You look at your email going like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when that email comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will say, oh, yeah, I have it. But, you know, that's about the rapid pass and what they're looking for, because they may be looking for it at 8 o'clock and it's not there. I mean, it's there, but it's beyond all their other mail. So that's my comment.
That's a very good point. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Well,
yes. I'm going to write that down to remember that.
So the tip for the future is we should do a survey ahead of all the meetings, and then, oh, here we go. Here's the Q&A. Now we got hands. Marion, you got more? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm trying to lower my
Oh, we have a hand. We have DM Debbie Moody.
Debbie.
Hey. Go ahead and click the microphone. Come off of mute.
I just have a question about calling people that don't show up. I always check with the supervisor first, because if I have them come in at a different time, we don't have any walk-in time. Mm-hmm. They say don't call. You know, sometimes, and a lot of times they won't even answer my call. But if we have openings, I have to leave a message, I always say, we do have openings this afternoon if you would like to come in, and, you know, we have space. So I don't know if there's any other suggestions about calling people.
Yeah, Debbie, I would honestly say that what you're doing is great. By trying to, make a connection to the lead of the drive and ask them how they would like you to handle that. Because while in a format like this and in our regular communications out to all BDAs, we like to give you the general expectations. Every drive is a little bit different. You're absolutely right. So I think what you're doing is terrific, and that's a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Robbie, do you have a question or comment?
It was just a comment on the high school drives,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was a newbie, fresh meat, I was warned, you don't want to do the high school drives. You don't want to do the high school drives. And well, you called and asked me to do a high school drive, so I did. And I mean, the kids are great. They are so eager. I don't know what kind of experience that person had, but they are so eager to donate that they will lie to you. Did you eat breakfast today? Yes. Well, that breakfast turned out to be half a banana and a Red Bull. And so part of your responsibility is to send them to the cafeteria and tell them to eat and come back. But the high schools are great, and you help me out. And when I do the high school, I carry a bunch of the first-time pins. And you'd think that was a $20 Amazon card because they're super excited to get it. It doesn't take much.
That's fantastic, Robbie. Yes, thank you for sharing that. I know you're one of our high school drive aficionados, so.
I've got stories.
Yeah.
Going back many years about high school drives.
Any other comments or questions before we wrap up for the evening?
And Debbie, was your hand just stuck up on the Microsoft Teams, or did you have a secondary question?
No, I was just trying to figure out how to undo
No
it.
worries. Yeah, no worries.
That's
That
okay.
happens.
Just click raise again and it'll lower. Yeah. Oh, Roberta.
Your mic should be hot, Roberta. Talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I see your mic is on, but I can't hear anything you're saying. I'm sorry.
Can you drop it in the chat?
Yeah.
The chat feature? The joys of a virtual meeting.
I know. If only we could all teleport to one place.
Right?
This is as close as we can get for now.
Well, while we're just taking a minute here to see if she either can get a mic working or put her question or comment in the chat box, I'll just take a moment to say thank you for, number one, spending time with us this evening. Make sure that you give yourself an hour for participating in this meeting in Volunteer Connection. And we really just love having you as part of our team. We couldn't do the mission that we are all dedicated to carrying out without you. You're really the heart and soul of our BDA program. We're always looking for input. It's a pleasure to work with you when I have a chance to connect with some of you directly. But again, thank you so much for not only being here tonight, but just being part of our team every day. And I would also like to thank the staff, Carrie, Aaron, Casey, and Sylvia too, for putting this great presentation together. It was a great job, and I knew it would be wonderful. I had all the confidence in the world. So, yeah, I still haven't seen anything from Roberta or heard her, but we can reach out and see if there's anything we can follow up with her on too.
Absolutely.
If I can, Ellen, also just
Oh,
She just,
a
yep.
sheet of info that the donor can look at. Yeah, Roberta, that is something that I know I've been trying to get for our area. So let me see what exactly there is. And maybe that's something that we can distribute more broadly or
yeah.
like try to have available at the drive for donors, because that's very important. We can definitely look into that more.
And just like a little bit of added information on there is that the specific needs tend to change frequently, so that's why sometimes like we'll have a sheet, but then they want to shift focus to a different type or something, so that changes. So information does fluctuate a little bit, so that's why we don't necessarily have like a standard one available at all times, but we can definitely look into seeing what we may have available right now. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you all. And thank you all for your expertise. You all really know more about this than those of us who are a little more behind the scenes, and we really, really need your feedback and your questions. So thank you for coming on, and for those of you who gave tips and advice, thank you for that as well. It really, really goes a long way. So I think we're a little past 7 here. I think that's time for us, unless there's anything else, Casey or Aaron or Ellen.
Yeah, we can go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll hang out here until anyone has any other questions. They can linger on, and we'll be here for a minute or so.
All right, sounds good.
And before everybody drops, if you're from